Welcome to episode 12 of Tactical Career Planning. In this episode, we're going to be talking about interviews. We'll cover in-person, panel, and virtual interviews. Why? Because we're almost at the end. We're talking about interviewing. We are 2 steps away from securing and completing and accomplishing this mission. Interviewing's not easy. It makes a lot of people nervous. It made me nervous. But there's a few things that you can do to ease the situation and make it less tense for you and the employer. In-person interviews. Now, it's highly likely that most of you have attended an in-person interview before, but there are some transitioning service members that may have never had a job before they entered the military, and now they find themselves looking for one afterwards. When attending an in-person interview, make sure that you're on time. When we talked about route recon and area recon, the idea was to arrive on time, and on time is 15 minutes early. When attending an in-person interview, I suggest taking copies of each document that you submitted during the process, just in case the interviewer doesn't have it in front of them or needs access to it quickly. While you're sitting in the interview, make sure that you check your posture and your body language. Seem interested, and of course you are interested because this is a job that you've applied for and this is a job that you want. Don't slouch, don't stand up and walk around. Focus and fix yourself on the individual across the table from you. In some cases, consider mirroring their emotions or mirroring the vibe that they're putting out. It can really ease the tension in the space and make the interview a lot more fun. Take a pen and paper into the interview. It's okay for you to write things down. You may want to ask questions later, and I certainly hope that you do. But it's not out of the ordinary, and it's completely okay to take paper and write stuff down during the interview. You'll see on this list that one is left blank, the most important part of the process. We're going to talk about that in the next episode. And finally, thank them for their time. Let them know that it's appreciated and you appreciate the effort that they're putting into you. Panel interviews can be more stressful and nerve-wracking than a normal one-on-one in-person interview. It's because you're sitting across from so many people. There's also such things as group interviews where a number of people are in front of one interviewer or 2 interviewers. In this case, we're going to talk about a panel. What's a panel? Well, a panel is a lot like the board. And if you've ever been up for Soldier of the Quarter or Soldier of the Year or time for you to go to the board and get that promotion, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Some of you may have read this over and over and over again to get ready for that board. So think about similarities between getting ready to go see the board and a panel interview. There's not really a whole lot of difference between a panel interview and a one-on-one in-person interview. Of course, panel interview can be virtual or in person, it doesn't matter. Everything typically stays the same. You're going to walk in there with the documents, copies of every document that is submitted. One of the things that's going to stand out the most is that you're going to greet everybody by name. This is how you develop rapport and connection with the interviewers, is by making the effort to learn their name and then repeat it back to them. As usual, write stuff down. Write down what you need to write down. It's not going to play against you. It's only going to benefit you. You see one of them is blank? Just hang out till the next episode and you'll know exactly what I'm talking about and what goes there. Thank them for their time. It's the nicest and easiest thing that you can do. Virtual interviews. Uncomfortable, different, but believe it or not, there are some similarities to other in-person interviews. Prepare all the files that you need beforehand. Convert everything that you've submitted, if you haven't already done it, convert it into PDF format. So if it's requested or comes up during the interview, you can fire it off right away. So convert everything into PDF. Although you will be arriving 15 minutes early for the meeting, even in a virtual setting, that may not be enough time to sort out any technical issues that you have. Function test all of your equipment, software, hardware connections first. Make sure that everything works. Now, this is pretty standard when you're giving a presentation, or at least how you're taught to give a presentation in the Army. But in this case, make sure that everything works perfectly beforehand. Understand what platform you may be working off of and what equipment you might need to come through as well as you possibly can. Make sure that you check your background, remove any questionable items from the background. Also consider operating in a quiet space, free of noise. Make it a nice, comfortable environment for your virtual interview. Consider the sound quality and the delay of the sound so that you're not speaking over anybody or having trouble communicating. Just as you would anything else, be on time. Maintain your posture and your body language. Write stuff down if you need to, and thank them for their time. Okay, episode 12, After Action Review. What did we talk about? We talked about in-person interviews, we talked about panel interviews, and we also touched on virtual interviews. It's okay to bring copies of all documents to an in-person or panel interview. Don't hesitate to thank them for their time. Remember, in panel interviews, introduce yourself to everybody, learn their names, and repeat their names back to them. There's one component of this course that I left out, and I'm going to give it its own episode next. It's probably the most important one, but we're very close to the end of the Tactical Career Planning course. Please don't hesitate to ask any questions. You're welcome to ask me directly or any knowledgeable WorkSource staff associate at an office near you.